Welcome to this Retina South Africa Back to Basics chapter, where we'll explore the fascinating structure and function of the retina in a simple, hopefully easy to understand way. We would like to acknowledge that our educational activities are supported by Bayer South Africa and Roche products. In our previous chapters, we looked at the different structures that make up the eye, and in this chapter, we hope to give you a clearer understanding of how the retina works. However, there is no need to memorize the numerous complex names or layers. The goal is simply to grasp the overall concept of how this remarkable tissue allows us to see. To begin then, the retina lines the inner surface of the eye and is in fact an extension of the brain. It is the only part of the brain that can be observed directly without surgery or sophisticated invasion techniques. It has a beautifully intricate structure made up of interconnected layers. And in these layers, the incoming light, the photons, are transformed first into chemical signals and then into electrical nerve impulses. These impulses travel to the brain where they are interpreted as the image we see. Let us now take a closer look at these layers and how they work together to make vision possible. And as we begin, let us just have a quick look at two terms that are often used interchangeably and might cause you a little bit of confusion if you read. The first is the neurosensory layer, which actually refers to the neural or the nerve, neural meaning nerve, inner lining of the eye. Whereas the term retina, just retina on its own, refers to the neural lining, that's the nerve lining, together with the retinal pigment epithelium. So strictly speaking, they're not the same thing, but yes, we do use them interchangeably all the time. So as we look, first thing we'll notice is that the retina lines the inner surface of the eye and that it is made up of all kinds of different cells. And one thing that strikes one almost immediately is that some of these cells run vertically and some horizontally. There are three types of cells, in fact, that make up the retina without the pigment epithelium. The first are the neurons, second are the glial cells, and thirdly the vascular cells. And as we said, these run in different directions, some vertically and some horizontally. So as we look at these in a little bit more detail, we see that the neurons in fact consist of the photoreceptors. The photoreceptors are exactly what the name implies. Photo meaning light, receptor meaning receive. So these are the receivers of the light that comes into the eye. And there are rods and cones. The cones collect the color photons that come into the eye, whereas the rods collect gray and black and white photons coming into the eye. There are also bipolar cells, ganglion cells, amacrine cells, and horizontal cells. And as the last name implies, among the neurons, some are vertical and some are horizontal. The glial cells are the Müller cells that we will look at in a moment. They are supporting cells and astrocytes, and also microglia. The vascular cells are the endothelial cells as well as the pericytes. The Müller cells are the principal glial or supporting cells of the retina. They are colored pink in this diagram, and they extend throughout the entire retina. They play a wide variety of critical roles in maintaining retinal structure and function. One of these functions is homeostasis, keeping the retina healthy. And they form foot processes that form the internal limiting membrane of the retina. Now, when we go back to the neural cells, we'll see that we have amacrine and horizontal cells. Amacrine and horizontal travel horizontally, whereas the photoreceptors, bipolar cells and ganglion cells travel vertically. The amacrine cells connect the bipolar or ganglion cells to each other, whereas the horizontal cells interconnect the photoreceptors. In other words, the vertical pathways then are the photoreceptors, bipolar cells, and ganglion cells, as we said. And if we look at these here, you can see the vertical rods and cones are the photoreceptors, the bipolar cells situated just above them, and the ganglion cells. The horizontal pathways, as we mentioned earlier, the amacrine cells and the horizontal cells conduct impulses from one area of the retina to another, so that we end up with a cohesive picture. And here we can see the amacrine cells and the horizontal cells. The retinal pigment epithelium is very important to the entire structure, maintenance, and well-being of the entire retina. It's called the pigment epithelium because it contains certain pigments such as lipofuscin, melanolipofuscin, and melanosomes. These are words that describe the look and contents of the RPE. The RPE cells absorb light and they prevent scattering and reflection of the light. Connected to the RPE, we have the choroidal blood vessels that supply oxygen and nutrients through the retinal pigment epithelium by diffusion into the rest of the retina. They are also a barrier to harmful substances, and very importantly, they remove debris, the unwanted material that does collect in the retina. The photoreceptors, as we mentioned, are a part of the neuroretina. They help to start forming images. They absorb light and convert the light into chemical and then into electrical signals that travel to the brain. In other words, the photoreceptors then are the first stages in the vision mechanism. In other words, the very big word for this being phototransduction. We have discussed the two types of photoreceptors, the cones and the rods. Let's start with the cones. These are found clustered and situated towards the central part of the retina, around about the macula and especially in the fovea. And the rods are scattered peripherally. There are many more rods than there are cones, incidentally. Let's take a quick look at this diagram of photoreceptors, rods and cones, and we can immediately see that in a certain section of each there is a distinct shape that gives the photoreceptors their names. So, photoreceptors that have a cone-shaped section are called cones, and photoreceptors with a rod shape are called rods. The cones, as we know already, receive color, while the rods receive monochromatic light. That is enough for now. And as we have covered the more technical aspects of the structure of the retina, please remember that you don't have to recall all these really technical names. Simply remember that the retina is a wonderful, complex structure. In the next episode, we will look at the importance of the rods and the cones and a glimpse at how they actually function. And finally, a reminder that Back to Basics is brought to you by Retina South Africa. And if you have any queries or comments, you can contact us at retinasa.org.za or mail us at head office at retinasa.org.za. You can call us on our share call line, which is 0860 595959, and you can even WhatsApp us on 082 074 7116. Thank you.